I got a glitch. Oh, it just hit me
Hello
now.
everyone and welcome back. It's Ash, your truth-bombing fairy godmother for everything love, dating, and relationships. Today's video is one that is, unfortunately, universally relatable, and that is the topic of ghosting. I don't think I've met someone who has never been ghosted at some point in their lives, whether it be by a romantic partner or even by a friend. And as someone who demands and values clear, honest communication, there really isn't anything else that I find as disappointing, disrespectful, hurtful, and cowardly as ghosting. So we're going to break it down and discuss what exactly it means to be ghosted and, of course, what you can do to make sense of the very painful aftermath that it leaves behind. But first, if you would like new love, dating, relationship, or just more general life advice videos every single week, then I would love it if you considered subscribing to my channel by tapping that button below. And if you found today's video helpful or resonated with you at all, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Okay, so let's start out by defining exactly what I'm talking about here when I refer to being ghosted. Someone having a clear conversation with us and explaining their reasons for why they're choosing to no longer participate in a relationship or a friendship with us is not the same thing as being ghosted. We may not agree with their reasons for ending contact, and we may think it's incredibly unfair that they are choosing to do so. But if someone engages in a discussion with us and explains their reasons for ending contact, they are not ghosting us. Being ghosted is when someone exits a relationship or a friendship without any clear conversation or explanation as to why they're making that decision. They ultimately cut off contact and they leave us wondering what the hell happened. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. And obviously, being on the receiving end of this is so extremely painful and confusing. The way it just makes you feel so discarded, worthless, and abandoned, it's just all around f***ing awful. But make no mistake, it is entirely someone's right to choose to no longer engage with us. And do they owe us any type of explanation? No, of course not. However, is it the decent thing to do? Yes, I believe it is. And honestly, is it that f***ing hard to just let the person know why it is that you are no longer choosing to communicate with them or have a relationship with them? No, it's not. Unless it's incredibly obvious, like the person who's being ghosted has done something truly awful that doesn't require any type of explanation, why not just let the person know why you are choosing to end things? And what I've come to realize as someone who has been ghosted, which I'll get into in a moment, is that the person who ghosted you did not see the relationship or friendship the same way that you did. Because if they did, they would not be okay leaving you to guess what the hell happened. They would want and desire closure to the same degree that you do. And if they are comfortable going about their life without that, then that shows that you did not share the same perception or vision of that relationship. You were never truly on the same page. And this is a lesson that I had to learn the hard way. I was ghosted by my absolute best friend of nearly 10 years, from 12 to 21 years old. And I'm going to need to provide some backstory and context here, so please just bear with me for a few minutes. Me and this girl were absolutely inseparable, and she really was like a sister to me. However, as we got older, every time I took a transitional step in life, she would retract. So when I turned 18 and I moved away to college, she wanted nothing to do with me despite my consistent efforts to remain in touch. And yet, interestingly, when I invited her to come live with me in that city, she jumped at the opportunity and it was like nothing had ever changed between us. But once again, when I made the decision to move to Australia, she barely spoke to me that entire year that I was away, despite me constantly reaching out. And yet, when I moved back to the US for 6 months, we were inseparable again and we picked up right where we had left off. Now, I will say in her defense that towards the end of that 6-month period that I was back in the US, we got into a pretty decent argument that I will admit that I started. But given how close we were, that was certainly not our first or our worst conflict, and we had always been able to overcome those types of things. And I, of course, profusely apologized for the role that I played. We totally smoothed it over. She assured me that all was forgiven. We shared lots of tears when I moved back to Australia, and I thought everything was okay. And yet, once again, once I arrived back here, she stopped talking to me again. And we ultimately went through this pattern at least 3 or so times for the first 6 or so months that I was back in Australia, where she would suddenly stop talking to me for weeks, if not months. I would ask her what was wrong. She would eventually tell me that she had decided that she hadn't been able to forgive me for that argument after all. I, of course, would profusely apologize again. We would talk about it. She would assure me that she had forgave me and that she was so happy that we had discussed things. And then she would start talking to me again. And this cycle just kept repeating. And because I was so desperate to hold on to the friendship, I would fall at her feet and roll over every single time that she decided to detract her forgiveness again. Until finally, it just felt like she was intentionally toying with me. So I got to a point where I just sent her a final message in which I told her how hurt and confused I was, and that if she didn't care about holding on to the friendship anymore, I just wanted her to tell me. And I never got any type of explanation or confirmation about whether or not that was true, and I never heard another word from her ever again. And my God, was that one of the most painful relationship losses I have ever experienced. She absolutely broke my heart. I just could not understand how someone who had been in my life for so long, who I thought knew me and saw me so deeply and intimately, could simply throw me away like that. But the truth is, and what I now know, is that she didn't see me in that truthful, genuine way that I thought that she did. She did not share the same perception I had of our friendship. And that was evident long before she ghosted me, with the way that her love for me was entirely conditional and dependent upon how close in physical proximity I was to her, or how much me living out my dreams included her or not. I just chose not to see it. Or I couldn't see it because my perception of our friendship was so vastly different than hers. So when she ghosted me, it came as such an overwhelming shock. I couldn't understand how someone I thought loved me so much could simply abandon me like that. And that's because she didn't love me like that. Or at the very least, her love for me was deeply conditional. She made it clear long before she ghosted me at various points that the amount of effort she was willing to invest in our friendship was entirely contingent upon how excited my life choices did or didn't make her feel, specifically if those life choices involved me moving away. So it was evident long before she cut off contact that the foundation of which our friendship sat was deeply fractured. And I can almost guarantee you that the exact same thing can be said about your relationship or friendship between you and the person who ghosted you. The relationship could not have possibly been fully reciprocal. And I'm not saying that this person didn't care about you at all, but someone who is capable of ghosting you without any type of clear conversation or closure did not truly see you the way that you thought they did, or the way that you deserve to be seen. And Rising Woman posted the most perfect post about this experience the other day, and I just need to read it for you guys. People who walk away from you without a clear conversation or a willingness to see your heart decided who you were long ago. Let them go. Damn. And then she goes on to say, if it's easy for them to walk away, the relationship had no foundation. If someone is willing to ghost or throw away a friendship or connection with you over projection or hearsay, they were never in your corner. It hurts, but the reality is that many people in our lives aren't meant to be with us for the long haul. Sometimes there's nothing to do but let go and accept what's in front of you. Don't fight to be seen or validated. Don't waste energy trying to convince people to see your heart or true intentions. The ones who truly know and love you will be there to catch you when you fall, to hold space, and to love you when you need it most. If someone is willing and able to ghost you, they were never truly in your corner. If someone doesn't feel the need to have a clear conversation with you, the foundation of that relationship was either never there in the first place or it eroded a long time ago. And at that point, there is no use trying to hold on or trying to plead with this person in order to be seen or understood. And I know a big part of the hurt and confusion that comes with being ghosted is feeling like there was no closure. And I totally get that. I'll admit that I spent years after being ghosted replaying our friendship and those final months through my head, just trying to make sense of it and trying to figure out what the hell happened. And I so badly wished that she could have cared enough to give me an explanation. But that's the thing. Her lack of explanation was the explanation. That told me everything I possibly needed to know. That from her end, our friendship was not based on mutual love, respect, or support. Because if that was reciprocal, she would have valued me enough to have had a conversation. And if there's one major takeaway here, it's that closure does not need to be given to you by the other person. Closure is something that you can provide for yourself and what you often do have to provide for yourself. And I know for me, it was hugely, hugely freeing when I finally understood that I wasn't rejected or abandoned by someone who truly saw my heart or my intentions. Because that's what was so painful for me, and I'm sure what is so painful for you too, is just feeling like you offered your heart and soul up on a platter for this person, they saw it, and ultimately decided that they wanted nothing to do with it. But the truth is that they never truly saw your heart or your soul. They were never truly looking at what it was you were offering. You were abandoned by someone who had disconnected themselves from you and this relationship or friendship long before it ended, and therefore someone who never truly saw the essence of who you were and are. And that is your closure. Okay, my lovelies, as always, I would love to hear your thoughts on this and would love to hear your stories about ghosting. I'm very sorry if this is something that you're experiencing because I know how much it hurts, but please know that you're not alone and someone doing this to you is not at all a reflection of your value or your worth. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sending you so much love and I will see you all next week.
Tell me what was in that stuff you gave me. I think I like it. In fact, it made me high.